Now, the breakdown of water infrastructure is creating a human rights crisis, and as government urges residents of Hammanskraal to be extra vigilant about the water they consume, civil society groups say they've been warning authorities for years now of the impending disaster. In 2019, for instance, the South African Human Rights Commission declared that Hammanskraal water was unfit for human consumption, and it seems that in all these years since then, nothing has been done. I'm joined now by the Commission's acting manager in Gauteng, Zamantungwa Mbeki. Thank you very much, Zamantungwa, for your time here on ENCA. The water crisis in Hammanskraal, to tell the truth, I think we've heard about for about 20 years now. The first time the Human Rights Commission actually declared that there's a problem in Hammanskraal with water was in 2004. So since then until now, as a Chapter 9 institution, what exactly have you done to hold government officials accountable or to answer to you about the violations that have been happening in Hammanskraal?
So in 2021, thank you for having us, by the way. In 2021, the Commission held an inquiry. And in this inquiry, it produced a report with recommendations both to the Department of Water and Sanitation, the Department of Environment, Forestries and Fisheries, as well as the city of Tshwane regarding this, the water in Hammanskraal. And it is in that report that the Commission said that the water in Hammanskraal is actually not fit for consumption. Following that report, and as late as and as late as now, in April, we've had numerous engagements based on the recommendations from our reports with the respective departments, but as well with the city of Tshwane, so that they could provide the Commission with an action plan of what they plan to do in order to treat this issue at its core. And at its core, the problem rests with the Rooiwal wastewater treatment works, which, as you would know, needs to be fixed in order for the people of Hammanskraal to be able to get adequate water.
Now, Zamantungwa, tell me, the Human Rights Commission has been working on Hammanskraal for quite a while now. I remember Boang Jones, for instance, here in Gauteng, saying that there were even compliance notices that were issued to government officials or government departments pertaining to the crisis in Hammanskraal. And now we find ourselves where 24 families are mourning the deaths of their loved ones. Some of them, it's 2 or 3 people in one family, in fact. So does this also highlight the fact that Chapter 9 institutions are not really given the powers that they should be given in terms of making sure that the Constitution is adhered to by our government officials?
In this case and in other cases, you'll know that when the Commission and other Chapter 9 institutions, we run these inquiries and we have specific recommendations. But in order to give effect to the recommendations, we need the institutions, on the other hand, which are the ones with actually the money to do the work that they need to do, to have the buy-in and to comply with what we are recommending. And that's not just only for the Public Protector's Office, for instance, it's also for the SAHRC and the other commissions that are there, because what we do is that we investigate all of these complaints. But what we then need on the other end, as you've rightfully said, is that we need the institutions to comply with the recommendations, but not only to just comply. And as we've said in this case, is that they also need to give us money that they're willing to spend in order to fix this problem. And then secondly, particularly relating to this issue, is that we need all of the relevant departments, the Department of Water and Sanitation, City of Tshwane, to work together, to collaborate, so that we can actually find a solution to this.
All right, so then we would be right then if we said that the accountability is on everyone, private sector, Human Rights Commission, all the departments let the people of Hammanskraal down.
I don't think that everybody all of the above institutions let the people of Hammanskraal down. As we've said, that as the Commission, we have been working on this problem. We've had the recommendations and we've continued to monitor those recommendations. However, at this tail end, what we need from all of the other institutions, which are the institutions that give effect to the recommendations, is that we need them to commit to the recommendations, and that they need to commit to making sure that Rooiwal is working and that it's working adequately, so that the people of Hammanskraal can get adequate water. because as the commission, we investigated where the source or what the problem is in Hammanskraal, and we identified where the problem is. And all of the institutions, and not only by the commission, even with other private institutions who made submissions to the commission, have informed the City of Tshwane and the Department of Water and Sanitation of where the problem is. However, in the end, the institutions and the bodies that sit are the bodies that make decisions. And those decisions, they also make with how they allocate their budgets in the respective municipalities. And without those budgets being aligned to what we are saying, and we've said this for Hammanskraal, is that the result will be where we find ourselves now. With Hammanskraal, we got a projection of 9.6 billion that was needed. And we need all of these institutions to come and say where they're going to get this money to actually give effect to these recommendations.
All right. So, the problem with our country is that the people of the country have become so despondent now to whatever reports or commissions that take place and commissions of inquiry, etc. And you'd understand why, because the reports have all these beautiful recommendations, but they sit there gathering dust because it looks like there's a deficit between Chapter 9 institutions, like I was saying earlier, and government officials of the private sector in terms of actually adhering to those recommendations. But you say that you've been monitoring since 2021 if those recommendations are being adhered to. Are they being adhered to? Can you confirm that all of them are being adhered to? Or is the report, just like many others, just sitting somewhere on someone's desk gathering dust?
It's not sitting in somewhere gathering dust. And none of the reports that have been issued by us as the Gauteng office sit and gather dust. The recommendations, as we said, I indicated that the last meeting we had with the City of Tshwane in order to give effect to the recommendations was now in April. And we were given an action plan with undertakings from the City of Tshwane, where they said that it was going to take the different phases that it would take to actually give effect to the recommendations and make sure that actually Rooiwal is functioning. What we then said to them as the commission is that we need money to come with this. And you would know that the budget is tabled, it's tabled in a different sitting. And it's important to us as the commission, and I want to emphasize this again, is that recommendations don't sit and gather dust. We have to make sure that when we write and we follow up with all of these institutions, it would be futile for those institutions if they just come to us as well and they only give us lip service. It's important to us that when they really are given an action plan, that it comes with money, because without that money, we can't do anything, and the people on the ground can't give effect. Won't feel the effect of the work that is being done. So under the City of Tshwane, the same thing was said. Thank you for the action plan, but we need a commitment with money of to how you are then going to solve the problems relating to Rooiwal, and that is what we still have not received. And it doesn't only rest with the City of Tshwane, it rests with the Department of Water and Sanitation and the other respective departments who are involved in this. And that's why also in one of our recommendations was that this be declared a disaster, so that like all of the other, like load shedding, for instance, procurement could be done at a faster rate, and that this issue could then also be addressed for the people of Hammanskraal.
All right, so Nzama-Ntunga, just so I don't put any words in your mouth, what you're saying is that the recommendations have been followed. It's just that the issue right now, or until now, was that there was no funding, and that's why we find that the Rooiwal water treatment plant has not been fixed, and that has now resulted in people dying. It's because there were no funds available to help, like the 9.6 billion rand you alluded to earlier.
Some of the recommendations, yes. The recommendations are quite lengthy if you go through the report. I also indicated that one of the recommendations we had was that it be declared a disaster, and obviously that has not also been done. But nonetheless, with the plans that we have, which was one of the recommendations, was that we needed a plan as the commission, and a plan that we could actually monitor, is that plan has not actually been given to us with money and with undertakings as to the different time frames. Because if you'll note that in order to fix this problem, the projections that we had were about it would take close to 15 years to fix that. And that to us was not acceptable. And that's why we said between the Department of Water and Sanitation and the city of Tshwane, they needed to work together collaboratively on this action plan and make sure that in terms of the timeframes, as well as in terms of the timeframes, that it would be suitable, because the people of Hammanskraal can't wait for 15 years.
Absolutely. I mean, we can see that now. If we had to wait for 15 years, more and more people would die in that area. Zamantungwa Mbeki, thank you very much for your time. She is with the South African Human Rights Commission and she's the acting Gauteng manager.